Hi, welcome to the Conversation Shop with Sedrick Page. I'm here with my very special guest, Marcus Anderson. Marcus, welcome to the Conversation Shop.
Thanks for having me.
Oh man, I'm very happy to have you. For those in the audience who may not know Marcus, I call him the infamous MA. That's my cousin. Very well respected military man, very well respected in his ranks, and we're privileged to have him on the show. Marcus, can you say hi to my audience and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, hello, audience. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Cuzzo. Um, what more can I say? My cousin has already elaborated. A military man, lifer, country boy, moved away from the country, moved to the city, but I'm still a country boy at heart. Um, Other than that, just living life and surviving like everybody else. And so we about to crack this open and have this meaningful and deep conversation.
Yes, we are. And guys, today, Marcus and I are going to be discussing why are men not getting married? That was a show I was privileged to have an opportunity to watch, and the conversation got really deep into men, specifically African American men, not wanting to get married or not getting married anymore. And we're going to start the show by talking about that. We're going to initially just explore what does it mean, what are the aspects, what are our opinions on why men are not getting married. We're also going to talk about, from a perspective that relationships are for women. Is that a reason men aren't getting married? I don't want the stress. Is that a reason? Or I don't want to be responsible for someone else's happiness, and I don't want that projected onto me. And what are the aspects that go along with that? So again, Marcus, let's just dive right into the conversation. Why are men not getting married? Let's talk about that. We have crazy conversations all the time, but from your perspective, let's dive right in. Why do you think young men or men not getting married anymore?
I think men aren't getting married because marriage is kind of an oxymoron. I mean, it's supposed to be 50-50. It's usually, it's usually 60-40 or 70-30. Uh, and the women always say about their sacrifice, but it's really the men that sacrifice. They give up their friends, they give up their extracurricular activities, they give up, working out if the woman is not comfortable or insecure about herself, you know. And so there's a lot of sacrifice. If you have children, you're always going to spend the holidays with her family, and your children are left wondering how come dad don't have no family, I mean, so the reality of the situation is you can't make anybody else happy if you're not happy, and so that's why men aren't getting married now.
Well, I'm glad you shared that because you and I both have a unique perspective on that. I mean, for me, when I think of it, why aren't men getting married? Well, for me, when I think of relationships or being out here in singledom now, I go, a lot of the ladies I meet, they come with these requirements. If you're gonna be with me, my man has to take me to dinner. He has to do this for me. He has to buy this for me. And I always go, well, did the last guy you were with do that for you? Because it's not my responsibility to fill a void or do for you what someone else didn't do. Meaning, be responsible for doing things to make you happy. And it typically suggests that monetary things are what makes that person happy. And when you deal with monetary things or momentary um, excitement or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't build for anything long lasting. And then diving into, marriage and relationships, I think we definitely as men, we give up a lot when we get married and get into relationships. Again, as you said, our friends, we definitely give up our friends. That boys and some guys you think that we're going to be your friends forever. Isn't it funny how your wife finds a way to make sure that friend goes away for good? A lot of times
Yeah.
that happens. Great friendships are ended because the wife may be insecure that he's a single man and you're married,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
he's around a lot of ladies, and I think you're gonna cheat. So that boils down to more trust issues in your own relationship versus what's going on with him. But it's funny how, those things get projected onto people who have nothing to do with your relationship. And for me, being responsible to make somebody else happy, I think you should come to the relationship happy, making your own self happy, not looking to Marcus, you need to do everything you can to make me happy, and if you don't, it's your fault. And the relationship is messed up because of that. I mean, those are the things that kind of bother me. So the relationships seem very one-sided, and then when you get into marriage, the debt that comes along with being married, you know, throws me. I mean, being married, okay, is your wife gonna work? Is she not gonna work? Is she gonna work part-time? Who's the breadwinner? Is she gonna, if she's an at-home mom, you know, I had to learn that being an at-home mom was a job, and I agree that it is a job, and it's a hard job, but it's a choice. I think people make those decisions to choose to do that and to choose to have relationships where you make those kinds of sacrifices. But for me, I think those sacrifices kill relationships, not push relationships forward. I'll let you dive in, Cuz.
I think I think if you've ever
Yeah.
watched a couple of the specials by Chris Rock, women, they always like to say a man doesn't know what he wants, but I think a woman is the one who really doesn't know what she wants. Um, they'll say they want a man who's attentive, but then she's always changing it. Why you all up under me all the time?
Right.
They say they want a man who's courageous or any of these other things. I try to fill all those voids. I try to be funny, protective, chivalrous, all of those things that I was taught, but still you run into roadblocks because on any given day they switch up what they want or
But can
what
I ask
they
you a
need.
question real quick? Not to cut you off, but listen to you talk. It makes me want to ask you the question: Do we ever hear they have an opportunity to tell a woman what we need and have it being taken as seriously as and passionately as we care about making them happy?
No, no. I mean, because your happiness isn't their concern.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
the whole marriage concept, the whole relationship concept
Sit back a
was
little
put
bit,
up.
cuz.
The whole marriage concept was put up as a
Sit
protective.
back a little bit.
Sit back.
Yes.
Okay. The whole marriage concept was put up as a protective alternative to, could you take care of yourself? And you know, with the evolvement of, you know, uh, status between men and women, this independence or this feminization has kind of pushed men out the door because a lot of women are now saying they don't need a man. You don't need a man, but, I got to be on my P's and Q's. I can't really say what I want to
No,
say,
say
but,
what you want to say. Say
you
it.
don't need a man, but there's still a man at the Ace Hardware that sells you your batteries. So you need, the reality of it is, every time you try to do something to make someone else happy, you're changing who you are.
Right. But you know what I keep
And
hearing as we're
was
talking? It sounds very one sided. Like I keep hearing about, and it's the conversation we've heard all our lives being young men with women, right? That
yeah,
we have to please them. But what I'm keep hitting at is we never really hear about them asking us what we want, what we need, what
because they don't
we should
care.
do. What do they have now? When you get in a relationship, we definitely tell women what we want to make to make us happy, but it's almost sometimes comes across very controlling. So I can see where women kind of push back, but we're grasping for control that we don't have in the relationship, as far as I'm concerned. We
Yeah,
don't have control in a relationship, and we're grasping for straws throughout
we
our
are.
interactions with women. When I say straws, okay, this is gonna make her grab this straw. Okay, that didn't work. Like you said, they keep changing. Then we're
Yeah.
grabbing for another straw. So it's grasping for straws.
So a lot of women, not all women, but a lot of women have this high um, opinion of themselves. And
Fake
so,
opinions.
and then they have this list. They have this list. These guys have to meet my criteria, because I'm not settling. But as they say, you can't be a nickel out there looking for a dime, you know. And so, you have all these you have all these expectations for a man to tell him, you need to be earning this amount. You need to have this type of body. You need to have this type of house.
Right.
Well, what you bring to the table?
Right. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you
Yeah.
have any of these things that are you just bought a pretty face and a nice rear end? Because I mean, that's gonna fade. Gravity's gonna hit on that, and they ain't gonna be hitting on nothing. We'll be
Let's
talking.
talk about that a little bit, cuz this is what I go. Then when you get older, right? You get married, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, and I'm sure people gonna yell at me and get mad when they watch the video, but men do it too. You put on 50 pounds. Now your woman running around looking like the Mac burglar, and
Yeah.
she's still looking at you like you're supposed to be attracted and happy when that's not what you want. And I feel like, if you're willing to diet, go in the gym, get your body right, and get your body right to make you happy, then your wife or the woman that you're with should do it too. So it just always seems one-sided.
Yeah, so I think we talked about that. So a lot of women get sideways with that when you mention something about the gym or taking care of your weight. So here's my thing with that. My expectation is that you're never going to look the way you did at 19 or
At
20 or
all.
20. All right,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the effort.
Okay.
It's the effort that entices me.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're willing to make that effort to go to the gym, not just for me,
For
but
you.
for your, yeah, because I want my friends to make a comment about, damn man, your wife is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I want my wife's friends to say, damn, your husband look good. He's how? He don't even
Right.
look like, I want that. And you should want that because that's a compliment to you.
To both of us.
You
Now
know,
hold that thought right there, cuz when we come back from the break, we're gonna get picked up right where we left off, okay? We'll
no
be
doubt.
right back on the Conversation Shop. Hi, welcome back to the Conversation Shop with Sedrick Page. Again, I'm here with my very special guest, Marcus Anderson. Marcus, on the first segment, we delved into why are men not getting married, specifically why aren't African American men not getting married. And one of the main things that we talked about on the show was, when we were married, feeling like it was one-sided, feeling like the marriage or the relationships were set up to please the woman. And again, we were raised to be gentlemen, to be chivalrous, to make sure that we took care of our lady. And when we were having that conversation, it led me into thinking about, well, did the norms change? Did the norms change? Are we talking about old school versus new school? So prior to us talking about getting into our relationships designed to please the woman, which I agree they are, let's talk a little bit about, did the norms change? And, I'll dive right into that. As far as I'm concerned, I think the norms have changed. Like you elaborated on just a little bit, in the past, we were raised to be chivalrous, to be gentlemen. Um, in the past, the woman didn't have the rights, quite frankly, to have a job or to earn what a man earns. They still don't earn 100% of what men earn. And because of that, the requirement, keyword, the requirement was placed upon men to be that breadwinner. I think that's where breadwinners came from. Men bringing the bread home to their wives. So, you know, I think that, those norms have definitely changed because now, it was a norm for the man to die before the woman because the man was out there working hard, taking care of the family, the kids. It was seen as being honorable for the man to walk around, go to work every day, dirty clothes, come home, wife's driving a nice car, kids are looking well, and a nice home because he's the provider. Now, because of things changing, women earning more than men, equal to men in some spaces, those attitudes have changed. And I want to see what you think about that.
Yeah, I think, like we said about, you know, uh, feminism at first was just about being able to have the right to vote. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to get a job in lieu of our men being overseas at war. So that was, burning their bras, burning, all of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it went from there to I can do anything a man can do. Then it went to I don't need a man,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and then at the same time with I don't need a man, it was this blatant prosecution of the man, especially African American men, about, well, your father ain't around or your this, your that, but they never explained to you why your father ain't around.
Right.
They didn't say because of our relationship. They always left out the part that they did. They made it seem like he chose not to be around you.
I'm
But
glad
he
you
really
brought that. I'm glad you brought that up, Marcus, because isn't it funny? You always hear absentee fathers, the dad is gone, but you never hear, and they always act like the dad was the 100% deadbeat, just didn't want to be around the kids. And I'm saying relationships are hard. We know that. We're only perfect in our imperfections. But it's so funny how, the woman really doesn't, very rarely goes into detail and admits or owns what she did. So I just wanted to agree with you and point that out. I think that was a great point that you brought out. Continue.
Yeah, just in point, just on relationships, period. From from the dating process, the courtship, everything that you say she's considerate of, because men have an agenda, women have a plan.
Yeah. Say that
Okay.
again. Say that again, cuz. Say that loudly.
I said that men have an agenda and women have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So on the agenda front, the man at a young age is looking at a conquest. How can I bag this one right here? There's a bad one right here. How can I bag this one?
Mm-hmm.
She looks, okay, he got, his family's cool. He gets along great with his mother, so that would make him somewhat of a good husband. He got curly hair. That means our kids would have this. She's planning. So she's sitting back in the cut. She's going to be a yes man or a yes. Everything that you do is okay with her. She is your number one cheerleader. And as
Right.
soon as what she wants, whether that's a piece of paper or a ring, then her true self will make itself known.
Yeah, elaborate on that,
Now
please.
you're
Please. Preach, brother. Preach.
I'm saying that some people are in a rush to get a title, but if it's really a loving, caring relationship, you don't need anything extra from somebody on the outside to confirm what you got.
Right.
What happens is they let little birdies get in their ear. Either their parents or their sisters or brothers who came up in a traditional household years before, and they start thumping the Bible about shacking up and all of these other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. You should be obvious, but you really don't know anybody until you live with them.
Right.
So when y'all just courting, y'all get mad at each other, everybody can go to their corner. or to their own house, and you never have to deal with the problem. But once you actually got to live with somebody, and that's what comes with the title, because the title, they gonna force a relationship on you whether you want one or not. Once you get in a relationship, and in the first couple of months it's just hot and heavy, physical, and then after that, then they start planning. Oh, my aunt is having a barbecue. You should go with me. Now they're introducing you to the family to see if the family approve of you.
Now
If
all your
you are,
friends going by the wayside.
that's right. Your friends can I invite James? Because I don't ain't gonna know nobody there. They be like, hell no. James ain't part of the family. And so I mean, everybody get to come there. The dog, everybody, even the dog of the family is judging. So you go there, boom. The kids like you. Maybe she got a kid already. The kid like you. You good with kids. The auntie approve. Oh, what he do for a living? You got a good job. This, and that. Okay, now what her plan is, they done asked all of those essential questions, but you still in the romantic mode. This a
Yes.
girl, put it down. Boom. As soon as you get in there now, she don't like none of your friends. I don't like going to the South. My family's in, such and
Right.
such.
All your
You know,
now you have to make all the sacrifices.
yeah, now you got to make sacrifices. And if y'all are lucky enough to have kids together, if she let herself go, you're going to be punished for her letting herself go. Well, you did this to me. No, I didn't, because I didn't want any more kids. You want kids. Now you got kids and you're out of shape. I've been going to the gym for 20-some years before I met you.
Right.
You don't want me to go to the gym because you're afraid that I might meet somebody that's in shape, because I was in women in shape when you met me.
Now hold
You
that
know,
thought real quick, because I just want to bring everything into perspective. The things we're talking about and what you're elaborating on is and I want to touch on this. It's the stress of that relationship kills your desire to be in it. It completely
okay.
destroys your desire, and everything that you give up is picking away at you as a person, picking away at who you really are, picking away at what you want, your dreams, your desires, and it seems like you're the unfulfillment of your
Yeah.
childhood dreams. You become an unfulfilled person. So, do you, and as I'm listening to you, I want to make sure that the audience understands these are reasons why men are not getting married. Now, for the
Yeah.
last couple of minutes on this segment, I want us to delve into and touch on a little bit. Relationships are made for women, and that's a perspective on why men aren't getting married. And I'd
Yeah.
have to say that I agree completely. And let's walk the audience from when we're kids, young men, what we're taught to do and how we're taught to pursue women and what we're told we're supposed to treat our woman. But here's the caveat. You never hear how women are taught to treat their man. For instance, the example you gave of going to the family, meeting the family.
Mm.
Flip that. You take a woman to your family. I call it
Mm-hmm.
the interview. You're getting interviewed. You're on a job interview when you're going to
Yeah.
meet her family. It's all out. You meet all marketing, HR, the CEO. You're meeting everybody. You're interviewing, and if you fail on any one of those, you are subject to get fired. Okay.
That's it.
So let's take that same stress that you're under. Not saying women aren't under stress, but when you take them to your mama's house, my mama could care less. And my mama is not worried about you're not getting interviewed. She's going to ask you questions to figure out if you're a good woman and if you're going to treat her son properly and make him happy. Are you going to cook? Can you cook? Are you going to feed him? Do you keep a clean house? My mama's definitely going to ask, are you going to work? Are you going to be at home? She wants to know because in her life, all she's known is compromise. You work together. If you're in a relationship, two people work. Nobody sits at home. I didn't understand an at home parent until I had my situation. I had an at home parent. I didn't understand that. So, you know, elaborate on that a little bit before we go into the next segment.
Yeah, like you said, it's about compromise. Maybe both of you don't have the same skill set. So, I mean, like you said, taking care of children is still a job. So, hey, you're going to be the child rearer. You're going to rear the children, and I'm just going to put in more hours at work. As long as I know the kids are safe. I mean, it's a trade-off. Or my job, I go to my job at night, and you go to yours in the day, so one of us can be here. That's the compromise. But you don't see that compromise anywhere else. And really, I know we haven't got to this subject yet, but really, it's a cruel joke that, God kind of played on us, because men go through their sexual peak from age 14 to age 25, 27, something like that. Women hit theirs in maybe about 36, on up. They're going through their sexual peak, but they're also hitting menopause somewhere in there too, So what you got hormones and emotions. And even when they're teenagers, you got hormones and emotions. And
that's a bad mix.
Yeah, and I will say, when we first get on the scene, we not the most put together people either, as men, when we're young, because our libido is doing most of our thinking, But then, you think the woman is more mature, but then as you see, when we hit our stride in our 30s, that's when men really start, kind of getting into their own as being a grown man and really figuring out what they want, what they want to do in their life. And at that point, once they figure it out, that's when you start to grow apart.
Now, hold that thought. We're going to pick up on that on the next segment, okay? We'll be right back on The Conversation Shop. Hi, welcome back to The Conversation Shop with Sedrick Page. I'm here with my very special guest, Mr. Marcus Anderson. Marcus, we're going to dive right back into this conversation on why men are not getting married. We were exploring the fact, from my perspective, the fact that relationships are designed to please women. And I want to give you the floor to comment and elaborate on that. Is that something you agree with, you disagree with? Elaborate.
I agree with that. It's always, there's a man-made celebration of a woman every day. Whether that's be kind to your secretary day, bring an apple to school for your teacher day. Black Girls Rock Day, whatever.
Even Mother's Day. Take Mother's Day. People go all out on Mother's Day. Father's Day is like, you can forget about it.
Yeah, they're like, hi, Dad.
Yeah,
that's what you get on Father's Day. But, I give you a good example. I wanted to have just a regular wedding at City Hall. But my wife was competing with her cousins on who could have the nicest wedding and the nicest reception. Where if you start your life out together and you spend $30,000 on a reception and a wedding, could that money have been used better, for you guys' life?
Really?
And you could the justice of the peace. But that's for her and her friends. Then the registry. Well, those gifts are supposed to be for both of you. But ain't one of those gifts for you.
Not one.
Everything on the registry is a dish or some scented candles or some crystal or some, what the hell I'm going to do with that? I ain't seen a football,
TV.
I ain't seen a shotgun. I ain't seen nothing for me, and then the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Not that there's anything wrong with children, but if you've already been in a bad relationship, usually as you mature, you have realized that, starting another family with somebody else, hey, let's wait until we have all of our things together before we start bringing another life into the world. But they're so adamant. Oh no, I mean, on my biological clock, blah 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 blah. Okay, hey, I mean, we about the same age. You should have started when I started. You know, I mean, but yeah, it really is for the woman. They want the title, and before the title, the ring. So what's the rule for a ring? You look at what your salary
Three
is, and it
times your
should
salary for a man.
exactly. But are they happy with that? No, that's a little ring, But yeah, your man work at the movie theater or wherever he work, but you expect him to get you a 2-carat ring instead of being considerate of the situation and saying, okay, baby, this is all we can afford right now. Then let's go with what we can afford. And as we do better, we'll just upgrade.
And I got to jump into that, man, because I see guys do that all the time. They'll go spend all that money and don't even get the right ring. The ring got all kind of inclusions in it, black, dark, just to say you got a 2-carat ring. You done wasted all your money on something that's not worth what you even paid for. And she just wants to run around and flash like she got a big rock on her hand. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and if she's getting one that's black and glittered and yellow and all of those, I mean, she does basically have a big rock on her hand.
Yeah.
Uh,
A
I
worthless
mean,
rock.
here's the reality of it too, though. Why are you listening to your girlfriend giving you directions on what your man should have got, or saying, "Girl, I approve of that"? Because some of your friends who always got some comments,
Don't have
they
a
ain't
man.
got a they ain't got a man even giving them a candy ring. So when they commenting on your ring, whether they got inclusions or not, hey, at least somebody cared enough about me to give me one.
And then let's talk about the wedding. One thing I talk about, we're talking about things being one-sided, but we're validating that it's not about the man. I mean, think you may get a bachelor party, and now the women are telling the husbands, you better not have a bachelor party. You better not have any fun at your bachelor party. Or, I'm not saying a guy should go out and cheat on his bachelor day, but I'm like, have a little bit of fun. It's your last time day of freedom. I know guys that don't even participate. They just, I'm just gonna do what my wife, or my future wife tells me now. I come from the notion that, a happy wife is a happy life. But again, that even suggests that it's for the woman. It has nothing to do with the man, So for me, being in relationships where feeling like my opinion didn't matter, right? So
Yeah.
in order for me to be happy, basically I can't have an opinion.
So check this. If you are about to get married and you don't want your husband to have a bachelor party for some reason, then there's your answer. You shouldn't get married, because that means you don't trust him. And if you don't trust him, then there's no need in getting married. You're supposed to be getting married to somebody that you trust, respect, will work with, believe in the 50-50 rule, all those different things. But if you're already prejudging him because you don't trust him, because you figure he going to get liquored up, or his friends going to make him do something, or he going to do something, then you shouldn't be getting married. Why are you pushing him into marriage? And that's what happens. These ultimatums come out. Now, I ain't an ultimatum person. And if you give me one, you're not going to like the response you get.
Thank you at
'Cause
all.
I don't do ultimatums. My wife tried to do that when we got married. She told me, well, we dated for 10 years. She said, well, what if a doctor proposes me at my job? I says, well, hey, I'll miss you, but I'm not going to get married before I'm ready to get married. If somebody come along, hey, congratulations, I'll miss you. She said, you don't care. I said, I care, but I'm going to do it at my own pace.
Hmm. No, I got you on that, man. But everything we're talking about, it just seems like it's a lot of stress. So let's talk about that. Being,
Yeah.
it's why are the relationships stressful? Why are they stressful? Why is it that it seems that the guy has to in order for him not to have stress, he has to tuck his tail. Does that make sense? Meaning,
Yeah.
remember what I said, a happy wife means a happy life. So in order for you not to have any conflict in this relationship or this progression or even moving to marriage, we're navigating trust issues, and I agree with you. If there's an issue with trust in bachelor parties, you really shouldn't get married. But I know a lot of people who navigate that and still get married, or having your your fiance's mom come to your house and sit you down and tell you, well, you make enough money and my daughter isn't going to work. So she's going to be an at-home mom. Okay,
Mm.
not knowing that two incomes push you forward quicker, but again, looking at earnings about the woman, and then you have an at-home mom. I just have an opinion about that. I think it destroys marriages. I'm sorry, I just do. I don't know if you got 10 people that have at-home wives. I can tell you 9 divorces or 8 divorces that are coming, and I'm sorry to say that to people, but that's just how I feel about it. And a lot of times it's because you think you're doing, and for me, I thought when I was in a situation, I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do to make her happy. Key word, make my wife or make my mate happy. So let me give her all these things. And it sounded like I woke up one day going, I'm giving you all these things and I don't have what I need. I'm stressed out trying to maintain all of this. And then emotionally, you're still not happy because you don't know what makes you happy, what makes you happy. So we got 2 kids, we got a big house, we got mortgages, we got all these things. And
Mm.
all these things add stress and we don't have any happiness. And you're still looking to me to fill I call it the unquenchable thirst, the unfillable void, because you haven't started working on yourself. So to me, the relationships are always about the young lady. And I think a healthy relationship should be about the 2 people, not just
So,
one person.
so I always like to bring this up too. So if you get married at a young age, I mean teenagers, you expect to have a lot of hiccups.
Yeah.
But when you get married in your 30s, like I did, that's a grown woman that you're marrying. And I'm a grown man that she's marrying. Okay? So we're already set in our ways. But where we can come together, we come together. Where we can't, we don't. But you got to appreciate your time away from somebody so that you can appreciate your time with that person. What happens is they get that piece of paper or that title and they start being controlling. And I tell them, hey, I only got one mama. And half the time I ain't listening to her, which is why I was getting beat all the time. You know? So you think I'm gonna listen to you tell me something? I'm a grown, grown ass man. I'm not gonna. Some of the things I'll take into consideration, but you're not gonna tell me what to do. That's the equivalent of a ultimatum.
Right.
You know?
But ain't it funny how you're here, that same woman who married you because you were this strong man, who complains about you being the strong man in a relationship. And what I always go is, it comes down to trust, right? So we end up going
Yeah.
back to trust. So you don't trust me to steer this boat, to drive this car, and that's
Yeah.
what it boils down to. And like you said, men have an agenda, women have a plan. And I love that. And I want you to say that again because, when you're dating before you get married, she's pushing you into that plan. You just don't know
Yeah.
what it is yet. And then immediately once that ring hits the finger, everything changes. Attitude changes, priorities, and not saying that they shouldn't change to push you both forward. But typically that's not what really happens. A lot of times is her agenda has changed and you have to fit in. And prior to going into the next segment, I want to get your opinion on that.
Uh, um, yeah, I think that when you come into the relationship, you should be thinking about what can help us both succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And what is going to make this marriage fruitful, happy, lasting, and it can't be one-sided where you're just thinking of you. You got to say, hey, hey, babe, what's your aspirations? What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And then, you should in turn ask her the same thing. Babe, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Maybe they already got a career already, but who's to say that you want to stay working for that person? Maybe you've been doing your thing so long, you want to venture out and get your own thing now, get your own business. And that never happens, and you never get to discuss that model because they're so focused on making themselves happy, making themselves comfortable. Where do you want to, where they want to live, holidays with who they want to spend time
It's
with.
at your expense, at the expense
Yeah.
of the man. Now hold that
And
thought. Hold that thought. We'll be right back on the Conversation Shop. Hi, welcome back to the Conversation Shop. We're going to dive right back into this conversation with my guest, Marcus Anderson. Marcus, we're going to just dive right in. On the last segment, we were talking about relationships being literally designed to please the woman. So I want you to elaborate a little bit or finalize your thoughts on that. But I also want to talk about the health issues that come along with being in these one-sided relationships that lend to men not wanting to be married. I want to talk about that a little bit as well. But I want to give you the floor to make sure that you've expressed yourself completely in regards to how you feel about these relationships being one-sided and the stress that comes along with it.
Okay, so I believe the relationship is one-sided, and it's not healthy for the relationship, but it's definitely not healthy if you have children also.
Okay.
Because in our day, the young girls used to be around the homemaker, and they were learning more ladylike things that were considered ladylike. How to cook, how to sew, how to do a lot of things like that. Now, I'm not saying
how to be a homemaker.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that women belong in the kitchen or any of that type of shit. But I am saying that, more emphasis was given on how to make the family whole, so there were no holes in bringing up a family.
The family structure. You had a partnership.
Caregiver, food provider, shelter provider. Everything was covered. Every base was covered. And the nurturing came from the village, because it takes a village.
So how has that changed, though? I'm glad you talked about that. So I'm glad you used that example. Now give me another example of how that's changed and leading to men not wanting to be married. So that was the old way, and it seemed like the old way fostered partnerships, equal relationships. So no one felt like they were being taken advantage of, used, abused, or anything. Everyone knew what their role was in the relationship. So have those roles changed? And if they have, how have they affected those dynamics that you just gave?
They've changed, but only because people have allowed themselves to be brainwashed. So, if you're a follower of the Bible, the Bible still says that the man is the head of the household, unless he's leading you astray, or on drugs, or gambling up all you guys' resources or something like that. It still says that the man is the head. All right. But I'm not even saying that. I'm saying that it should be 50-50.
Right.
But what happens is one person is trying to take control, either because they either make more money or because, just a sense of irritability, and they just think now that they have this ring or this title, they can call shots.
Now let's talk about that a little bit. I got to talk about that, because in the let's take the minority community, specifically the African American community, right, where we have a lot of African American women being breadwinners or making more money than a lot of African American men, and it happens in all groups, but we're just talking about what we know. And I
Mm.
see how I've noticed that being played out is they're using it as control in a relationship. So they either want a man that's unmotivated or slightly motivated, so they can remain the breadwinner to control him to do this or to do that. Again, to keep it one-sided, to give them what they feel they want, versus having someone equally yoked can mean many different things. But
Yeah.
what I found is, for instance, I earn well. So when I run into women that don't do as well as me, I find it to be a problem sometimes, for especially when it's a professional woman who feels like she doesn't need anything. Because I'll tell a woman, I don't need anything but your time. I don't need your money. I don't need your house. I need nothing but your time and time to get to know you. And that seems to be a problem because I've had a woman tell me, then you don't need me for anything.
Yeah.
You don't understand what I'm saying? So that throws me a little bit too. So what do you think about, what you have comments on that?
Well, they want to be needed. Um, they want to be desired. They want to be needed. They want to be chased after. But that goes back to the dime and the nickel thing. You gotta present something. You gotta present something that's worth chasing after. You gotta present something that's worth me bringing my A game. Because if you're not presenting a version of this retirement package here, then I'm gonna have to move on to the next employer
You
and
can't be
set up a.
spam. You can't be a piece of spam calling yourself a T-bone steak.
That's right. I mean, what was
Real
that
talk.
old move over bacon? Now there's something meatier.
Yeah.
Remember that commercial? Same thing. So, I mean, I just really think that happiness should be the priority and not your own happiness.
Right.
I start with, they used to tell you, you got to start as friends first. Because if you don't like the person, if all that was drawing you to that person was the lust part,
It's not gonna last.
once y'all start getting mad at each other, I mean, if you're anything like me, you can hold on to that. And a lot of women can hold on to that too. They'll tell you they forgave you, but the first time you accidentally step on their shoe, everything you ever did in that
It fly
relationship.
back upside your head.
That's right. So you just have to, you got to like the person that you're with. And you got to hope that the face that they represented for all that time is their true face, and that they don't change after you get in a relationship, that y'all still somewhat like each other.
Let me ask you this quick.
Otherwise,
Let me ask you this quick question. Quick question, Marcus. With all of
say,
that, being said, and I don't want the audience to feel like we're picking on women this whole show, but do you think that women are feeling similar things in terms of not wanting to get married, or do you feel that the changes that women are making are still changes that suggest that they're only concerned with what they want? Does it make sense what
no,
I've asked?
I think women should be able to make those same decisions, and they are making those same decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for so many time, it was frowned upon for a woman to say how many partners she had.
Right.
And a man could go out with a badge of honor and say, I've slept with over 100 women in my lifetime, or however many.
Right.
And a woman couldn't really say that. And so now that the table have turned somewhat, I think some of them kind of get, they're getting their just due. They're like, why shouldn't I be able to enjoy my life? I'm young.
Well,
I
I don't
got a
want a
good job.
hundred. I don't want a woman who's been with 100 dudes.
Well, yeah, but you ain't gonna know. I mean, the one you had might have told you she only been with 3. You, same thing with me. I
Right.
mean,
I know. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing,
they
Marcus.
tell you anything. I mean, but the reality of it is I mean they feel open where they can be the breadwinner, where they can have someone in their life when they want to, and when they don't want to, they don't have to, and
But is it a
you know,
carryover of control? Because we just talked
yeah.
about all this control with dating and courting a woman, then marriage. Everything is about the woman. And now that now that things are changing, right? So you want
Yeah.
to have this independent woman. So a two income household works. Cohabitating works. Cohabitating and loving someone while you're cohabitating works. But again, when you talk about breadwinning and what we were just discussing, is it still about control? Because that control thing is what's bothering me, and I think it bothers
Well,
a lot of men.
so I think, it's been put in their head, girl, you need to have this, girl, you need to have that. But that's coming from the newer version of woman. That's not coming from old school,
Hmm.
because old school was just, you need to have somebody who's going to be a good provider and who loves you.
Now, do
That
you
was it.
now do you think there's an agenda to change our views on marriage? Do you think that's the reason why men aren't getting married anymore? Because of the way roles have changed, because of the way finances have changed. Do you think that marriage, there's an agenda to change our concept of marriage or being together?
I don't think there's an agenda to change marriage except by another class.
Okay.
Um, but but I do think what constitutes a healthy relationship is changing.
Okay.
So, example, Gene Simmons from Kiss, he's been with his wife, or well, he just married her, but they were together for almost 30 something years, and then like year 31 they got married.
Right.
Yeah. But they were in a monogamous relationship. They lived together. He was out on tour. They had,
I don't know how
they were
monogamous it was.
well. It was monogamous in the fact that she knew he was going to sleep with other people, but she said she wasn't. She stayed home, being a homemaker, of course. But he said eventually he got to the point where Susan Sheridan, I think is his wife, a former Playboy playmate,
Now, Marcus,
and
prior to the end of the show, I want you to leave the audience with some words of wisdom. And, real quickly, what are your opinions on being married?
it is. It's like a beautiful sunset before a nuclear bomb goes off. When things aren't going right in the relationship, it makes it easier for everybody to stray, the woman or the man, because you're looking for that kindness that you're not receiving at home. They used to always say that a man's house is his castle. And so if you're getting all the pressures of the world on the outside, the one place you shouldn't be receiving that same kind of pressure and tension and stress is at home. It should be harmony and you guys working together 50-50.
I want to
But
stop you
when
right there because I think that's a great way to end this show and this segment. Repeat what you just said for me, please. You said
I
the
said
relationships be peaceful and harmony.
relationships should be peaceful and harmony. If you're already facing adversity and stress and have the weight of the world on your shoulders when you're outside of the home, the place where you should find refuge and peace is inside the home. And a lot of times, being in a committed relationship doesn't allow you to enjoy that peace. It keeps you stressed.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you for those words of wisdom, Marcus, and I want to thank you for being a guest. Guys, I want to thank you for joining us on the Conversation Shop. We'll see you next time.